Hello, student. Welcome to your geography class. We are doing the chapter Physical Features of India. Today we will learn about the Peninsular Plateau. The Peninsular Plateau. Students, the Peninsular Plateau lies in the center of India. If you look at it on the map, you will find it lies in the central location. It is a tableland which is made up of old crystalline igneous and metamorphic rocks, and this has been formed due to breaking and drifting away of the Gondwana land, which makes this the oldest landmass. So, students, you can see there are three parts for this: Central Highlands, Deccan Plateau, and Chota Nagpur Plateau. The Peninsular Plateau is a tableland composed of the old crystalline, igneous, and metamorphic rocks. It was formed due to the breaking and drifting away of the Gondwana lands, and the plateau has a broad, shallow valley and rounded hills. This plateau consists of two broad divisions, which is the Central Highlands and the Deccan Plateau. We also have Chota Nagpur Plateau, Malwa Plateau, but these are the two broad divisions of the Peninsular Plateau. The Central Highlands and the Deccan Plateau. The Central Highlands, this is the part of Peninsular Plateau which lies to the north of the Narmada River, and this covers a major area of the Malwa Plateau, and this is also known as Central Highlands. The extent of Central Highlands is from Vidya to Aravali Hills. The, the Vindhyan range is bounded by the Satpura range on the south and the Aravallis on the northwest. The slope of the Central Highlands is from southwest to northeast. The rivers Chambal, Sindh, Betwa, and Ken flow according to the slope of the plateau, that is from southwest to northeast, and this also indicates that the slope of the hills are from southwest to northeast. The Central Highlands are wider in the west and they are narrower in the east. The eastward extension of this plateau is locally known as Bundelkhand and Bagelkhand. The Chota Nagpur Plateau marks the first further eastward extension, and this is drained by the Damodar River. If you look at the Deccan Plateau is a triangular landmass that lies to the south of River Narmada. The Satpura range flanks its border breeze in the north, while Mahadev, Kemur Hills, and the Maikal range forms its eastern extension. The Deccan Plateau is higher in the west and it slopes gently eastwards. It is separated by fault from the Chota Nagpur Plateau. An extension of this plateau is also visible in the northeast, and over there, locally, it is known as Meghalaya, Karbi Anglong Plateau, and North Kashar Hills. The three prominent hill ranges that are found in the Deccan Plateau are Garo, the Khasi, and the Jaintia Hills. The Western Ghats lie parallel to the western coast, and these are continuous and can be crossed through passes only. The Western Ghats are higher than the Eastern Ghats. Their average elevation is 900 to 1600 meters. The Eastern Ghats stretch from the Mahanadi Valley to the Nilgiris in the south. Nilgiris in the south. The Eastern Ghats are discontinuous and irregular, and they are dissected by rivers draining into the Bay of Bengal. Their average elevation is 600 meters. Next, we will learn about the coastal plains. When you come to the Deccan Plateau, the Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats, they mark the western and eastern edges of the Deccan Plateau respectively. Western Ghats lie parallel to the western coast, and the Eastern Ghat lies parallel to the eastern coast. Now, the Western Ghats, they are continuous and can only be crossed through passes because it's a continuous range. Whereas the Eastern Ghats is not a continuous range. The Thal Ghat and the Bhor Ghat, they are the passes that connect Mumbai to the interiors of the Deccan Plateau, and the Pal Ghat Gap connects Kerala and Tamil Nadu. The Eastern Ghats, they are discontinuous and irregular. They are dissected by rivers draining into the Bay of Bengal. There are four rivers: Godavari, Mahanadi River, Krishna River, and Kaveri River. The average elevation is 900 to 1600 meters as against the Eastern Ghats, that is 600 meters. So the Western Ghats are higher than the Eastern Ghats. The average elevation is 900 to 1600 meters in the Western Ghats as compared to 600 meters in the Eastern Ghats. The Eastern Ghats, this is the difference between the average elevation of Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. These are the highest peaks in the Western Ghats, that is Anaimudi, which is 2,695 meters, and we have the Doda Beta, that is 2,637 meters. In the Eastern Ghats, we have the Mahendragiri, that is 1,501 meter. Okay. Chevroy Hills and Javadi Hills are located in the Eastern Ghats to the southeast of the Eastern Ghats. The famous hill stations over here are Udagamandalam, popularly known as Ooty, and Kodaikanal. Yercaud is a famous hill station in the Chevreuil Hills. And these are the other two famous hill stations in the Western Ghats, that is Ooty and Kodaikanal. The Western Ghats cause orographic rain by facing the rain bearing moist winds that rise along the western slopes of the Ghats. The Western Ghats are also known by different local names. There is the Konkan coast, the Malabar coast, and different regions have different names. The northernmost is called the Konkan coast. Konkan coast runs from Mumbai to Goa. Then there is Malabar coast at the bottom, that is from Kerala to Kanyakumari. And in the middle of the two, we have the Kannad coast, that is from Goa to Kerala. So it's divided into three parts. The most important distinct feature of the Peninsula Plateau is the black soil area, which is also known as the Deccan Trap. This is of volcanic origin, and so the rocks are igneous. The Deccan Trap is formed from eruptions around 66 million years ago. These rocks have denuded over time, and they are responsible for the formation of black soil. Okay, so this was the Peninsular Plateau. So now we will learn about the western and the eastern coastal plains. So the Peninsula Plateau is flanked by stretch of narrow coastal strips running along the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal. Arabian Sea on the west and Bay of Bengal on the east. The western coast is sandwiched between the Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea. The Western Ghats, the plain is very narrow and it consists of three sections. The northern part of the coast is called the Konkan. This is the regional name. It runs from Mumbai to Goa. The central stretch is called the Kannad Plains, and the southern stretch is referred to as the Malabar coast. The central stretch, which is called the Kannad Plains, runs from Goa to Kerala, and the Malabar coast runs from Kanyakumari, from Kerala to Kanyakumari. This is the Konkan coast, which houses the most famous beaches the Mumbai beach, and the Goa beaches, which is very frequently visited by the tourists. Then in the center, we have the Kannad Plain. And finally, we have the Malabar coast that houses many lagoons and backwaters. Lagoons are saltwater lakes separated from the sea by sandbars and spits. As compared to the western coast, the eastern coast is comparatively broader. The plains along the Bay of Bengal are wide and level. The Eastern Ghats are also divided into two parts, and they also have regional names. The northern part is referred to as the Northern Sarkars, and the southern part is known as the Coromandel coast. Large rivers like the Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna, and the Kaveri, they form extensive delta along this coast. There are also many small lagoons and a large lagoon that is like Chilka and Pulikat. These are most famous. Lagoons are comparatively less in this plain than the western coastal plains. Important ports are Paradeep, Vishakhapatnam, Chennai, and Tuticorin. Eastern coastal plains stretch all the way from the Ganga Delta to the Kanyakumari. The average width of the eastern coastal plain is 80 to 100 kilometers. It is broader in Tamil Nadu. The most famous feature is Lake Chilka on the eastern coast. The eastern coastal plain have Lake Chilka, which is the largest saltwater lake in India. It lies in the state of Odisha. It lies in the state of Odisha to the south of the Mahanadi Delta. So these are the western and the eastern coastal plains. So we will again do a little quick summary on this. So we did coastal plains today. It is the Peninsula Plateau is flanked by a stretch of narrow coastal strip that runs along Arabian Sea on the west and Bay of Bengal on the east. The western coast lies between Western Ghats and Arabian Sea, divided into three sections: the Konkan, the Kannad Plains, and the Malabar coast. The eastern coastal plain is wider and level, runs along Bay of Bengal. It is discontinuous, divided into two parts: Northern Sarkar and the Coromandel coast. Extensive deltas are formed by four large rivers: the Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna, and the Kaveri. Chilka Lake is very important feature along the eastern coast. So this is again a summary of what we have just studied. The western coast consists of three sections. Eastern coast is divided into two sections. Chilka Lake is the largest saltwater lake in India. Western coastal plains is a thin strip
of coastal plain between the Western Ghats and Arabian Sea. And eastern coastal plain is a wide stretch of landmass of India between Western Ghats and Bay of Bengal. This is your homework. You will write these questions and the answers in your notebook. Name the highest peak in Western Ghats. The western coastal strip south of Goa is referred to as what? And you will find differences between Western Ghat and Eastern Ghat. With this, I end today's class. Stay home, stay safe, take care, and keep learning.